Hello, my name is Dr. Njideka Kelly. I am here representing LCF Group. And today we will be talking about financial solutions for entrepreneurs. You know, that has been a major challenge for entrepreneurs. That is funding. Where do they get their initial funding from? I meet a lot of young people who have great ideas for business all over the globe. I'm talking about young people from Nigeria. I'm talking about young people from Angola, Cameroon, all over United States. And one of the problems that they continuously talk about is funding. Where will they get the initial startup money? This is a problem. So here at LCF, we are coming up with solutions. How can we do this? So I'm going to talk about today on a very old, local, if you will, and traditional means of raising funds. This kind of raising funds was done by our mothers, our grandmothers, all over Africa. It is an African thing. Some of you might have heard about what is called susu. Do you know that susu is even recognized in the United States? I remember many years ago when I was trying to purchase a home, and the bank officer asked me, "How are you getting your down payment?" And I said, "Susu." And she said, "Oh yes, I know what susu is. You do collections, and somebody take." I said, "Yes." She said, "Well, you know what? It is recognized. It's one of those things that the banks used to accept." The other thing is what is called gifting. Gifting is when somebody else, maybe a family member, gives you some money to use as your down payment. But with gifting, you don't have to pay back, unlike a susu. So today, let's talk about susu. Like I said, especially for young people, to raise initial funds for your business. So are you an entrepreneur? What kind of business are you into? So I met a young woman, about 20 years old, just 2 days ago. And she said to me, "Oh, I make the best cookies." I said, "Wow, really? So how are we ever going to get a taste of your cookies?" She said, "It has to get into the store, but I don't have the money." I said, "Okay, so what are you doing about that?" And she goes, "I've gone to my local bank, I've gone to a microfinance bank, and nobody will give me money because first of all," I said, "Why?" She said, "Well, first they said they don't trust that I will be able to market. But I know my cookies. I know that anyone who tastes my cookies will want to order. I know that even Girl Scouts, all that, they will order my cookies." I said, "Wow." I said, "Okay." So all in this, we decided at LCF to create simple financial solutions about raising money. So let's talk a little more about susu and answer some of your questions, audience. So whatever you want to ask, let's do it. Okay, so Yemi asks from Nigeria, how do you set up the club? That's a great question, Yemi. So how do you set up the club? Primarily, you want to set up the club with people that you know, people amongst your circle. Let's say your friends, let's say your family, let's say your co-workers. But there is one element that must be included in this club vision, and that is trust. So you must be able to work with people that you know you can trust and they can trust you. Because we're talking money here. We're talking about someone or 5 people or 10 people or 3 people bringing their monies together. And at the end of the cycle, one person takes the part. So Yemi, what you will do here is to ask, first of all, who wants to join my club? Name your club. Call it a visionary group. Call it startup group. Whatever you want to call it. That's your club. and you can now bring in members of your club. So let's say you have 5 people and you decide that it's going to be a 5-week circle, because the circle must go according to the number of people that you have in this club. So you decide how much you will collect from each person. $100, 100 naira, whatever that might be. So if you are doing 100 naira, that means that at the end of the cycle, there is 500 naira. That 500 naira goes to whoever you decide will be the first person to pick up the pot. And that's how you do it, and it rotates. In 5 weeks, everyone would have collected money. Then you can decide to do it again. Let's go to question number 2. Peter asked, what do you do if someone decides not to pay? Peter is from the United States, and Peter says, what do you do? Well, like everything else, what do? You negotiate, you cajole the person, you use some force, you do whatever that you have to do for that person to pay. But remember that I said it has to be people that you trust. So if already you have doubts in a person, there's really no point in having that person in your club, because you will run into problems like this. Well, let's also hope that this person who refuses to pay, it's probably number, again in your 5-man cycle, maybe she's number 2. You just keep her and continue, so that you don't dissolve your club for just one person. Paul from Senegal is asking, how many times can you go around? Paul, you can go around as many times as you like, so long as the club is alive. And the reason that the club will be alive is because you have a bond. You have formed a bond built out of trust. So you can go as many times as you like. What you might want to do though sometimes is to take a break. It's okay to take a break, but agree to come back at a certain point in time. And when you come back, you might change a little of the rules. So instead of that 100 naira or $100 that you started off with, or instead of a 5-man team, you might increase your team to say 7 or 8, so that you bring in more members. But again, remember, the more members you have, the longer the cycle will remain. Emma is asking from Uganda, and Emma says, instead of distributing the funds, can we use these funds to buy real estate? Absolutely, Emma. Yes, I am telling you this. Now you are talking about building wealth. Building wealth is something that we all need to do, and we can build wealth individually, or we can build wealth collectively. So this is a collective way of building wealth. You can purchase real estate, but all of you must decide on exactly the kind of real estate that you want. Are you buying a single family house, or are you buying a multiple family house, or is this a commercial property? Then you need to get a lawyer to advise you. You need a real estate agent to advise you. And then there's something tricky here. The trick now is you are now venturing out of just your private local startup funding. You are now commercializing. So you might now want to register your business. So your club might now become an entity. Again, you have to be careful that this is what all of you want. You can still continue to raise your funds the way you have been doing, but the pot, what you are now saying is that the pot is not going to one single person. For example, again, using our 5-man team, the cycle, $100, at the end of the cycle is $500. You might say, okay, we're gonna go around 10 more times. That's because $500 initially will not put down your down payment. So by the time you go 10 times, you now have about $5,000. That definitely is a down payment in some states, depending on where you live and the kind of property. So have you seen how you didn't go to the bank, but together 5 of you can purchase a property? Now what do you do with the property? This is what you decide. Is it a commercial property you're going to rent? Is it office spaces? What are you going to rent? Are you putting somebody there, pay the mortgage, all that? What comes back to you? You must give it thought and you must give it time. But yes, you absolutely can decide how you want to distribute your money and for what purpose. Maria from Angola is asking, do you charge interest and is there a penalty for late payment? Maria, your group can decide if they want to charge interest. It's okay, but you need to be able to be fair and to work it out. So for instance, your 500 with your 5-man cycle, 5-man team in a 5-week cycle. So when you collect, each person, the first person collects 500 Naira or $500, like we were saying. You can say, put 5% back in the pot. You can decide to do that. Now the question will be, what is that for? Well, remember, this is a club now. Maybe you meet in someone's house. Maybe you want refreshments. Maybe it goes around, so 5 of you, every week you're in somebody else's house. Maybe that 5% goes towards entertainment of your group. It's something you're doing for yourselves. You know, you need to really understand that when you are in a partnership of this sort of arrangement, you are building a team, and in that team you need to strengthen the team spiritually, physically, and emotionally, because you don't want anyone to feel like it's a drag. You don't want anyone to feel, you know, I'm just giving these people my money, is this person's turn, that. But you want to be able to have some kind of camaraderie where all of you are in a brotherhood or in a sisterhood, helping each other to get to their milestone. So yes, you might want to do that. 5% interest, 2% interest, whatever you all decide. Again, remember, talk to your team members. Let it not be a one-man decision. At the start of your meeting or association or group, lay all these things down. And one might say also that, is there a leader? Well, that's something that you all decide. If you want a spokesperson, don't call that person a leader. Call that person a spokesperson for the group, which then means that any of you can be spokesperson for the group. And whatever you decide, please write it down so that it starts to form your rules, your regulations, your procedures, your laws. When you venture out of this small group to a bigger one, it will be a guiding point. And then you asked if there is penalty for late payment. Absolutely, it will be your choice. You also can do that. And then it makes people know that you are serious about what you are doing, that this is not a joke. This is not a joke. This is a fundraising. This is a source of building capital for your entrepreneurship, for your group activity that you are doing, for you to pay your bills. This is something that you must be serious about. So yes, it's okay if there is a penalty. Make sure that everyone knows that. So finally, Whitney from India says, is this not a scam? Whitney, I had to laugh at this one because I do understand, you know, your caution. I do understand your reservations and all that. Remember, when we started this video, I said it has to be people that you trust. Yeah, I am sure that there are people who can want to scam you by asking for your money. But the difference is, Whitney, this is a club of which you, Whitney, are a member. And the other members are probably your friends or your family. So, I mean, where can they run to? Where can they run to, Whitney? Again, if you have visions for your club and you have your rules and regulation and you jot all these things down so that in your selection you are able to say, can you comply? Can you do this? Are you part of us? Can we trust you? You can come up with a 10-point agenda, a 5-point agenda, the things that you will ask the people who you are bringing into your club. Can you do this? Are you sure that, again, it's a club and all of you will decide what you want to do. So on that note, we're going to close this segment, but again, watch us in 2 weeks where we'll be coming back with some more tips on how you can grow your visionary club, Susu club, or what have you, whatever you call it in your language. But this is a sure way that you will be able to raise initial capital for that project, that business, that bill. All of these things can happen collectively. There is power in team building. I am again Dr. Njideka Kelly out of Houston for LCF.